What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another review video. Big shout out goes out to ECOROAD for reaching out to me and asking me to review one of their electric scooters. This is the ET6 model. In this review, I'm going to go over everything there is to know about this electric scooter. I'm going to talk about the specs, I'll do a speed test, a brake test, I'm going to ride around and talk about the riding experience, and as an added bonus, we're going to take it on a little mini off-road trail that I have over here. There will be chapters down below, so feel free to skip around to whatever part is of interest to you. But first, let's get started with the specs. So this is the ECOROAD ET6 electric scooter. It features an 800 watt hub motor in the rear, coupled with a 48 volts 15 amp hour battery. ECOROAD claims that this should give you a range of up to 35 miles depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. We have 10-inch by 2.5-inch tires, coupled with a mechanical brake with a 140mm rotor in the rear, as well as a front drum brake. This scooter also has a swing arm suspension in the front as well as in the rear for a smooth, comfortable ride, a fairly sturdy folding mechanism, as well as rubber grip on the deck. In the front of the scooter we have a small headlight that's decently bright, as well as turn signals on the handles, that is nice, and in the rear of the scooter we have a taillight and an active brake light, and some LED lights on both sides of the deck. The total weight of the scooter is 51 pounds with the max load capacity of 330 pounds. And up on the handlebars we have our front brake and our thumb throttle. In the center we have our display with the on-off button / mode selector button. And on the left side we have our rear brake, our turn signals, and a bell. And that is pretty much it for the specs. Now, as far as the price, this current model goes for $499 plus a $50 shipping fee. Now, one thing I will say is that this scooter looks really nice so far for the price. It looks a lot better than other scooters in that price category. Is this thing good value for money? That is exactly what we're going to find out today. All right, now real quick before I do the speed test, I want to show you the starting procedure. Pretty simple. We have a power button right in the middle of the screen. Hold that for a few seconds and the scooter will turn on. It is very, very bright out today, so I apologize if you can't see the screen, but this scooter has 4 modes. The first one is considered a walking mode, where you can walk alongside the scooter and have it move to help you move it. Other than that, we have 3 riding modes: low, medium, and high, and those are accessed by double clicking the power button. So we have low, medium, and high. I'm going to be testing the highest mode right now. Let's see how fast this thing can go. So I got my phone's GPS app open and the speed reset. Sweet. Throw that in my pocket and let's see what kind of top speed we can get out of this thing. Now, it's supposed to hit 28 miles an hour. It comes unlocked out of the box. I weigh 160 pounds and I am about 5'8". So let's see what kind of top speed we can achieve on this thing. Scooter is showing 27, 28, so seems like we've reached the top speed. Now I'm just gonna keep on going till the end of this road to give my GPS enough time to catch up. Okay, this should be good enough. Let's see what our GPS has to say. All right, so my GPS is showing 27.1 miles per hour, GPS verified. So not the exact 28 miles an hour that we were supposed to be hitting on this thing, but at the same time, maybe my weight is limiting the speed, but very close. 0.9 of a mile per hour off is not the end of the world. Of course, we want to be reaching the advertised speed, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, again, it could be due to my weight. Maybe someone who weighs less than me or less than 160 pounds might be able to hit the 28 miles an hour. Now, as far as the takeoff and the response, pretty immediate. It doesn't yank you back crazy where you're gonna fly off this thing, but it has sufficient enough power for you to get up and get going and reach the top speed fairly quick. But anyways, that was our speed test. Now let's do our brake test. And the interesting thing about this scooter is it has disc brakes in the rear and a drum in the front. That is very interesting. I've never had that before, but regardless, I'm gonna make my way up to 20 miles an hour. And there you go. Oh, a little too fast. There's a bush coming up right here to the right. I'm gonna brake in 3, 2, go. Okay. All right, so from that little bush right there to where I'm at, we're looking at about 12 feet, 12 to 15 feet or so. Again, this is an estimate, and the brakes did lock up. Now, when I do scooter brake tests, you know, I hit the rear brake before I hit the front brake, and I don't hit the front brake as hard because I don't want to fly forward, but regardless, we're looking at an average of 12 feet from about 20 miles an hour. And that was our brake test. Now let's talk about the scooter itself and the riding experience. So far it is very nice. One thing I do like about the scooter is it has cruise control. You see my thumb is off the throttle and we're still going, so that's a feature that I personally like. Of course, you can turn it off if you don't want to. This does come with an app where you can download and like lock the scooter, turn off and on the cruise control, change other settings like 0 start, which means if you go on the scooter and you hit the thumb throttle, it's gonna go right away. Or you can have it where you kind of gotta give it a little push, a little kick, and then get going. So you can kind of customize it to however you like. It is a smaller type of scooter, so you're feeling very low to the ground. As far as the deck itself, I'll show you what that looks like. I wear size 10, but this shoe is rather large, and this is how much of the space my shoe takes up. So it's not the biggest scooter deck in the world, but at the same time it is grippy, and it has this little footrest in the rear that you can kind of use to your advantage to give you a bit more room. So as far as that goes, that's okay in my book. Now let's see our turning radius. I mean, turning radius should be pretty amazing on this thing. It's a fairly small scooter. Yeah, turns on a dime, no problem. As far as the maneuverability, because it's so small, it is very agile. Whoa, something just flew into my helmet. Now, as far as the suspension goes, it is there. You can feel that it's there, but it's fairly stiff. I'm gonna show you what that looks like right now. Okay, so this is what I mean about the suspension. You can see it's there. It's nicer than not having anything, that's for sure. So it's definitely there, and it's better than not having anything. Now, at the same time, this scooter is more of a commuter. I don't really view this as an off-road scooter. Of course, I'm going to be testing it anyways just to see its capabilities. But the suspension being like this, in this stiffness, is actually perfectly fine for road riding. Now, this road that I'm using right now is very bumpy. I've tested scooters on here that have no suspension, and it's like my voice, I can barely speak. With this, it's very, very smooth. Another thing that I want to note is that the brand is really concentrated on safety. So that's like a big part of their mission. So I'm talking brakes, which are really decent for this type of scooter, as well as that front headlight, which is supposed to, I think, hit 50 feet out, which is pretty decent for its small size. And the turn signals, those are really nice safety features to have on a scooter. And as I mentioned in the intro, you don't typically get this type of suspension on scooters in this price range, so that is very nice to see. But anyways, the time has come for us to test the off-road capabilities of this thing. Now again, keep in mind, I said earlier, it's not really an off-roader, so don't expect crazy performance. Another thing is this trail. There, we got that cruise control turned on. Can let go of the thumb throttle and keep on going. But anyways, the trail never comes across on the GoPro like that. It looks very smooth, but it's not. I assure you that it's not. It is very bumpy with ups and downs. And so far, these tires are holding up well, and the suspension as well. Now we have our first obstacle in the form of this mini hill climb, and we just have enough power to do it. Now, as far as taking this thing off-road, this would be like the most extreme, excuse me, I keep on ducking because there are plenty of there's a bunch of branches sticking out everywhere. But as far as off-roading, this would be the most extreme type of scenario trail that I would take this thing on, because again, it's not really meant for that, but so far it's handling it without an issue, so that's good to see. All right, and it seemed like it passed this section. At this point though, I like to kind of stop and assess the situation, especially after this off-road section. I like to stop and check like different things on the scooter. Let's see how it handled it. All right, I'm looking at the locking mechanism, the folding mechanism. Pretty nice. Did anything else get loose? No. Tires seem okay. Excellent. Okay, so let's sum things up. What do I think about the ECOROAD ET6 electric scooter? Let's do things I like, things I don't like, and is this thing good value for money or not? We'll start with things I like. I really like the form factor of this thing. It is fairly light, and when you fold it, it makes it really easy to load and unload this thing from your car. So I like that a lot, especially for those who are last mile commuting. That is very nice. The second thing I like is the speed. Now, I wasn't able to hit the 28 miles an hour, but 27 feels like 50 on a small scooter like this, so very welcoming. I also really like the cruise control. I love that feature. When you're on a long haul, you don't have to keep your thumb on the throttle. You can just go. Very nice and convenient. And I also really like the turn signals. That is very important, again, especially if you're commuting with this thing. Now let's do things I don't like, and I always try to find at least one, just so I'm honest with you guys. And I tried throughout the review thinking of things I don't like, and to be honest with you, for this price range and this category of scooters, you're getting a pretty decent scooter. The only thing that I can kind of say is the suspension. Now, when I was showing you guys what the suspension looks like, of course I'm doing it in an extreme way where I'm bouncing on the scooter in ways you will never do, but the suspension was like squeaking a bit, making some noise. Now, it could be an easy fix where you just oil it a little bit and it shouldn't happen, but I guess that would be the only thing that I kind of dislike, is the suspension being a bit squeaky. Now, with all that being said, do I think this thing is good value for money? Again, we're talking $499 plus $50 shipping. I think that for everything that you're getting here, it is a very decent value for money. Now, I'm pretty sure I was able to go over everything there is to know about this electric scooter, but in case I missed anything, or if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section and I will do my best to answer. This has been the ECOROAD ET6 electric scooter review. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.